Isn't that something? Magnificent sight out here. Magnificent desolation. I believe I'm out of your field of view. Is that right now, Houston?
That's affirmative, Buzz.
I'd like to evaluate the various paces that a person can traveling on the lunar surface. The descent engine did not leave a crater of any size. It has about 1 foot clearance on the ground. We're essentially on a very level place here. I can see some evidence of rays emanating from...
The laser ranging retroflector experiment was deployed on Apollo 11, 14 and 15. It consists of a series of corner cube reflectors which are a special type of mirror with the property of always reflecting an incoming light beam back in the direction it came from. These reflectors can be illuminated by laser beams aimed through large telescopes on Earth. The reflected laser beam is also observed with the telescope, providing a measurement of the round-trip distance between Earth and the Moon. This is the only Apollo experiment that is still returning data from the Moon. Many of these measurements have been made by McDonald Observatory in Texas. Laser beams are used because they remain tightly focused for large distances. Nevertheless, there is enough dispersion of the beam that is about 7 kilometers in diameter when it reaches the Moon and 20 kilometers in diameter when it returns to Earth. Because of this very weak signal, observations are made for several hours at a time. By averaging the signal for this period, the distance to the Moon can be measured to an accuracy of about 3 centimeters. The average distance from the Earth to the Moon is about 385,000 kilometers. The laser ranging retroflector experiment has produced many important measurements. These include an improved knowledge of the Moon's orbit and the rate at which the Moon is receding from Earth, which is currently 3.8 centimeters per year.
Man, I didn't know you could throw so far. You can really throw things a long way up here.
Neil, this is Houston. Based on your camera transfer with the LEC, do you foresee any difficulties in SRC transfer over?
Difficulties in SR. Negative. I've noticed several times in going from the sunlight.
The passive seismic experiment detected lunar moonquakes and provided information about the internal structure of the Moon. This experiment studied the propagation of seismic waves through the Moon and provided our most detailed look at the Moon's internal structure. The Apollo 11 seismometer returned data for just 3 weeks but provided a very useful look at lunar seismology. More advanced seismometers were deployed at the Apollo 12, 14, 15 and 16 landing sites and transmitted data to Earth until September 1977. Each of these seismometers measured all 3 components of ground displacement: up-down, north-south and east-west. If a seismic event is observed by 3 or more seismometers, the time and location of the event can be determined. Because seismic waves from distant events travel deeper into the Moon than waves from nearby events, by measuring events at various distances from the seismometer, one can determine how seismic velocities vary with depth in the Moon. In turn, this information can be used to study the Moon's internal structure. Most of the events observed by the seismometers were due either to moonquakes or to meteorite impacts. However, the third stages of several Saturn V rockets and the ascent stages of several lunar modules were deliberately crashed into the Moon after these spacecraft were no longer needed. These man-made crashes produced seismic events of known times and locations and helped to calibrate the network of seismometers.
Okay, it's quite dark here in the shadow and a little hard for me to see that I have good footing. I'll work my way over into the sunlight here without looking directly into the sun.
It's a little difficult to dig through the
It's very interesting. It's a very soft surface, but here and there where I plug with the contingency sample collector, I run into very hard surface, but it appears to be very cohesive material of the same sort. Be advised that a lot of the rock samples out here, the hard rock samples, have what appear to be vesicles in the surface.
Houston, roger out. Oh, that looks beautiful from here, Neil.
It has a stark beauty all its own. It's like much of the high desert of the United States. It's different, but it's very pretty out here.
Tranquility Base, this is Houston. Could we get both of you on the camera for a minute, please?
Okay, Buzz, we ready to bring down the camera?
I'm all ready. I think it's 2 miles squared away in good shape.
Okay. I'll step out and take some of my first pictures here.
Roger, Neil. We're reading you loud and clear. Let's see, getting some pictures and the contingency sample.
This is the solar wind composition experiment. The sun continually emits a flux of electrically charged particles into space. This is termed the solar wind. The Earth's magnetic field prevents these charged particles from reaching the Earth's surface, although in the Earth's polar regions these particles can reach the upper part of the atmosphere, causing auroras. The Moon is outside the Earth's magnetic field for most of each month and has a negligible atmosphere, allowing solar wind particles to reach the Moon's surface. The solar wind composition experiment was performed on Apollo 11, 12, 14, 15 and 16. It consisted of an aluminium foil sheet 1.4 metres by 0.3 metres that was deployed on a pole facing the sun. This foil was exposed to the sun for periods ranging from 77 minutes on Apollo 11 to 45 hours on Apollo 16, allowing solar wind particles to embed themselves into the foil. The foil was then returned to Earth for laboratory analysis. This allowed the chemical composition of the embedded solar wind to be determined more accurately than would be possible if the measurement were made using remotely controlled instruments on the Moon, but limited the periods at which observations could be made.
Hey, Neil, didn't I say we might see some purple rocks?
Find the purple rocks?
Yep. Start to lose my balance in one direction, and recovery is quite natural and very easy.
Okay, Houston, I'm going to change lenses on you.
The Lunar Flag Assembly, or LFA, was a kit containing a flag of the United States, designed to be planted by astronauts on the Moon during the Apollo program. 7 such flag assemblies were sent to the Moon, 6 of which were planted, the exception being the one carried on Apollo 13, which had to abort its landing due to a serious spacecraft failure. The nylon flags were hung on telescoping staffs and horizontal bars constructed of 1-inch anodized aluminium tubes. The flags were carried on the outside of the Apollo lunar module, most of them on the descent ladder inside a thermally insulated tubular case to protect them from exhaust gas temperatures calculated to reach 2000 degrees Fahrenheit or 1090 degrees Celsius. 6 of the flags were ordered from a government supply catalogue and measured 3 feet by 5 feet. The last one planted on the moon was slightly larger, at 6 foot wide, the flag which had hung in the Mission Operations Control Room in the Manned Spacecraft Centre for most of the Apollo programme.
Neil and Buzz, the President of the United States is in his office now and would like to say a few words to you. Over.
That would be an honor.
Go ahead, Mr. President. This is Houston out.
Hello, Neil and Buzz. I'm talking to you by telephone from the Oval Room at the White House. And this certainly has to be the most historic telephone call ever made. I just can't tell you how proud we all are of what you... For every American, this has to be the proudest day of our lives. And for people all over the world, I am sure they too join with us in recognizing what an immense feat this is. Because of what you have done, the heavens have become a part of man's world. And as you talk to us from the Sea of Tranquility, it inspires us to redouble our efforts to bring peace and tranquility to Earth. For one priceless moment in the whole history of man, all the people on this earth are truly one. One in their pride in what you have done, and one in our prayers that you will return safely to Earth.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great honor and privilege for us to be here representing not only the United States, but men of peace of all nations, men with interest and a curiosity, and men with a vision for the future. Honor for us to be able to participate here today.
And thank you very much, and I look forward, all of us look forward to seeing you on the Hornet on Thursday.
My pocket open, Buzz?
Yes, it is. It's not up against your suit, though. Hit it back once more. More toward the inside. Okay, that's good. And incidentally, these rocks, very powdery surface,
Something interesting in the bottom of this little crater here.
I want to back up and partially close the hatch. Making sure not to lock it on my way out. Yes, surface material, powdery. I don't know how good your lens is, but if you can smudges above. Neil, this is Houston, radio check, over.
All right, Houston, loud and clear.
Roger out. Loud and clear, Houston. Roger, Buzz.
Are you getting a TV picture now, Houston?
Neil, yes, we are getting a TV picture. Neil, this is Houston. We're getting a picture. You're not in at the present time. We can see the bag on the LEC being moved by Buzz, though. Here you come into our field of view.
My pocket open, Buzz?
Yes, it is. It's not up against your suit, though. Hit it back once more. More toward the inside. Okay, that's good.
evaluate the various paces that a person can traveling on the lunar surface. Hey, Neil, didn't I say we might see some purple rocks? Find the purple rocks? Yep. It's a little difficult to dig through the initial crust. Very interesting. Neil is now unveiling the plaque that is. For those who haven't read the plaque, we'll read the plaque that's on the front landing gear of this LEM. There's two hemispheres, one showing each of the two hemispheres of Earth. Underneath it says, "Dear men from the planet Earth, first set foot upon the moon, July 1969, AD. We came in peace for all mankind." It has the crew members' signatures and the signature of the President of the United States. The surface material outer. I don't know how good your lens is, but if you can smudges above. I start to lose my balance in one direction, and recovery is quite natural and very easy. And moving arms around, Jack doesn't go off the surface. Not quite that light-footed. You have to be careful that you're leaning in the direction you want to go, otherwise you slightly inebriate. In other words, you have to cross your foot over to stay underneath where your center of mass is. All right, you do have to be rather careful to keep track of where your center of mass is. Sometimes it takes about 2 or 3 paces to make sure that you've got your feet underneath you. And about 2 or 3 or maybe 4 easy paces can bring you to a fairly smooth stop. So-called kangaroo hop does work, but it seems though your forward stability is not quite as good as it is in the more conventional one foot after another.
Neil, this is Houston, radio check, over.
Something interesting in the bottom of this little crater here. It looks beautiful from here, Neil.
It has a stark beauty all its own. It's like much of the high desert of the United States. It's different, but it's very pretty out here.
Didn't know you could throw so
You
far.
can really throw things a long way up here.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Oh, great. There you are, space traveler. Welcome to my humble spot on our beautiful moon. Let me introduce myself. My name is Darius, and I'm a VR enthusiast and entrepreneur. When I'm not in space, you can find me on Earth in that cute little country next to the North Sea called the Netherlands. I was born in 1969. Important year in 1969. It was the year when Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon. I was still a baby, just 6 months old, and throughout my childhood I always felt a connection to that event. Like most boys, I wanted to be an astronaut, and Armstrong was my childhood hero. I fantasized walking on the surface of the moon myself, but I realized that it would never be possible. That is, until now. Virtual reality is on the rise again, and this will enable me to act out all of my dreams. I will walk on the surface of the moon. Probably right now as we speak I'm doing the Apollo11 experience myself. Isn't that cool? In a way, virtual reality is like space travel in the 60s and 70s. We are pioneers of a new world. We do not exactly know what to expect, but we do know it will be amazing. I call out to all creative spirits to develop VR experiences. Unleash your inner minds to the world and create and form the metaverse. Well, thanks for stopping by. The battery pack of my intergalactic communication device is running low. Darius from VR Space, signing off.
Be advised that a lot of the rock samples out here, the hard rock samples, have what appear to be vesicles in the surface. Houston, roger out. Something interesting in the bottom of this little crater here. Okay, it's quite dark here in the shadow and a little hard for me to see that I have good footing. I'll work my way over into the sunlight here without looking directly into the sun. Are you getting a TV picture now?
So yeah, why did that like invoke such an emotional response?
Well, you know, I mean, growing up as a kid, as most kids, I mean, I always wanted to be an astronaut, and you know, probably something I'd never ever be able to do. And when we did that, it was so real to be there. I mean, you know, with that VR, you just feel like you're there, and it just, for whatever reason, it really brought up a lot of emotion, you know, with me and everything, and it was fantastic. It was fantastic to be able to look around and see all the things that I was seeing like I was there. So it was very, very cool.
I agree. Yeah. Like the demo itself, like, did look really, really good, as you said. The graphics were good, and but what they really nailed was the atmosphere and the detail of everything, like inside the ship and the suits and stuff like that. That's where they really nailed it. So, and especially with virtual reality, stuff like that's important because, you know, people can look around and get really close and really see that kind of stuff, unlike other just regular games and experiences like that. And especially with movies, because it's like movies, it's just one fixed position.
Yeah. Well, and it was amazing to me how that, you know, I mean, like when the rocket was taken off and it's shaking, you know, it's shaking in the visual that you're watching is shaking, but because you're in that, you know, VR environment, you feel that. It's almost like you physically feel it. Your body, your mind reacts to it like you're actually there. That was part of the thing, I think, too, that, that brings up emotion in you, because you feel it in your, when your stomach moves and everything, like you're really there. So.
I want to back up and partially close the hatch. Making sure not to lock it on my way out.
The descent engine did not leave a crater of any size. It has about 1 foot clearance on the ground. We're essentially on a very level place here. I can see some evidence of rays emanating from the descent engine, but very insignificant amount.
I believe I'm out of your field of view. Is that right now, Houston?
It's affirmative, Buzz. Tranquility Base, this is Houston. Could we get both of you on the camera for a minute, please? Neil, this is Houston. Based on your camera transfer with the LEC, do you foresee any difficulties in SRC transfer over? Negative.
And incidentally, these rocks, very powdery surface.
My father gave a copy of the Desiderata to each of us kids to hang on our bedroom walls. I recall many quiet times sitting on my bed reading these words to myself. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession for the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself, especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all arity and disenchantment is a perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of the spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune. But do not distress yourself with imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive Him to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations, in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be careful. Strive to be happy. This was found in Old St. Paul's Church, dated 1692.
I've noticed several times in going from the sunlight into shadow that just as I go in, I catch an additional reflection off the lamp. That, along with the reflection off my face onto the visor, makes visibility very poor just at the transition sunlight into the shadow. I essentially have so much glare coming onto my visor, I'm under shadow, till helmet actually gets shadow, and then it takes a short while for my eyes to adapt to lighting conditions inside the shadow area.
Okay, Buzz, we ready to bring down the camera?
I'm all ready. I think it's pretty well squared away in good shape.
Okay. I'll step out and take some of my first pictures here.
Roger, Neil, we're reading you loud and clear. Let's see, getting some pictures and the contingency sample. Neil, this is Houston. Did you copy about the contingency sample? Over.
All right, you're going to get to that just as soon as I finish these picture series.
I've noticed several times in going from the sunlight into shadow that just as I go in, I catch an additional reflection off the lamp. That, along with the reflection off my face onto the visor, makes visibility very poor just at the transition sunlight into the shadow. I essentially have so much glare coming onto my visor, I'm under shadow, till helmet actually gets shadow, and then it takes a short while for my eyes to adapt to lighting conditions inside the shadow area. And incidentally, these rocks, very powdery surface, I want to back up and partially close the hatch. Making sure not to lock it on my way out.
Neil, this is Houston. Radio check, over.
All right, you're Houston, loud and clear.
Roger out.
Loud and clear, Houston.
Roger, Buzz.
I believe I'm out of your field of view. Is that right now, Houston?
That's affirmative, Buzz.
Like it's a little difficult to dig through the initial crust.
Very interesting. It's a very soft surface, but here and there where I plug with the contingency sample collector, I run into very hard surface, but it appears to be very cohesive material of the same sort. Be advised that a lot of the rock samples out here, the hard rock samples, have what appear to be vesicles in the surface.
Houston, roger out.
Hey, Neil, didn't I say we might see some purple rocks?
Find the purple rock?
Yep.
Tranquility Base, this is Houston. Could we get both of you on the camera for a minute, please?
Start to lose my balance in one direction, and recovery is quite natural and very easy. And moving arms around, Jack doesn't go off the surface. Not quite that light-footed. You have to be careful that you're leaning in the direction you want to go, otherwise you slightly inebriated. In other words, you have to cross your foot over to stay underneath where your center of mass is.
Tranquility Base, Houston.
Roger, go ahead.
Roger, our guidance recommendation is pings, and you're cleared for takeoff.
Roger, understand. We're number one on the runway.
Roger.
Yep. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, fourth stage, engine arm ascent, proceed. Beautiful. 26, 36 feet per second up. 5 to the pitch over. Very smooth. Balance jump long. Very quiet ride. There's that one crater on there.
Thousand feet high, 80 feet per second vertical rise. Diego Houston, request manual start override.
Roger.
2,600 feet altitude. Eagle Houston, you're looking good to us.
Houston, we got the service module going by.
Roger, thank you.
And it's rotating just like it should be. Thrusters are firing.
nautical miles high, velocity 33,000 feet per second.
Houston, we'll have you for about 3-4 minutes through Redstone and then pick you up after blackout through Orion. Roger.
Guidance reports Apollo 11 right down the middle of the corridor.
And 11 Houston, you're going over the hill there shortly. You're looking mighty fine to us. See you later.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth. No single space project in this period will be more impressive to mankind or more important for the long-range exploration of space, and none will be so difficult or expensive to accomplish.
Apollo 11, Houston, through Orion. Apollo 11, Houston, and the blind airboss has a visual contact. Apollo 11, Houston, standing by for your disk reading, over. Apollo 11, this is Hornet, over. Apollo 1, this is Apollo, the great life core. Our position 1330, 16915.
Aircraft reports visual with 3 full tubes.
Down and condition of crew, over. Okay, condition of crew, 3,500 feet on the way down. 11 is Hornet, copy. 11 Hornet, what's your splash down there, over? Okay, our splash down here is our latitude, 1330, 16915. That's